Hey, good evening, folks. Welcome to the Let's Go Fishing Show. And I've got a special guest with me tonight, John Carroll from North Lake Baits. John, good to have you, buddy.
Thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here. And, we've fished together for a long time, and this is real special to be able to be down here and be on the show with you.
Well, man, it's special for me to have you. And like you said, we've competed against one another for a long time and really enjoyed every minute of it. And, it's just about that companionship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of competitiveness and that kind of thing, but we've had a good time and we've went on. I mean, you win one and lose a lot.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, it's good to have John here, folks. Listen, stay tuned. We got a heck of a show lined up for us tonight. I've got some colors of John's baits. He's experimented with these different colors and for cloudy conditions, sunny conditions, clear water, muddy water. Water temp's a big play in what John's doing, and we're going to try to bring that out to you that'll help you. And then we've got another little project over here, the most awesomest thing you've ever seen in a fish mount. I mean, it just, you're not, I'm going to call it a fish mount, but it's really not. So I want you to stay tuned so you can get a look at this, and we're going to get a close-up, and John's going to tell us all the story about how this thing happened and how it come about and that kind of thing. But right quick, I want to take a minute to say hello to my dad and to Bill and Polly up there. And I've got Mike over here sitting in the background. And my daughter, Christy, her birthday. I want to wish her a happy birthday. And other than that, we're going to get things rolling here. We've got several things lined up. We'll get Dylan in here in a minute to focus in on the thing over here, and then we'll move on to the fishing lures, and John's going to tell us all about it after he talks about this fish mount. But right quick, one thing, let me mention this. Pamela Ann's Valentine's Day's almost here, and if you want those dipped strawberries, you need to call those folks down there, and the number's coming up on the screen. Pamela Ann's Fudge, Candies, and Gifts. Call them and get you those things ordered, for your Valentine, and because at some point they've got to cut it off, and they're ordering about 5 dozen a day now. So talk to them today, and so if you're interested in that, I'm going to give you a quick hint. This guy got some. A good friend of Ed's, anyway, this gentleman ordered some of those on the phone or off the radio and wound up costing him about $65 for a dozen dipped strawberries, and they weren't very big strawberries at that. And theirs is the same price they were last year, $24.95 for a dozen. And but get your name on the list, because at some point they've got to say, hey, this is it, and get them out, get the berries in and get them dipped and that kind of thing. But you will be able to pick those up on the 13th and the 14th. So you can get them, Dad said he's going to stay till the last, whoever ordered them picked them up on Tuesday. So, but do that and take care of Pamela Ann's and Fudge, Candies, and Gifts, and get you strawberries ordered for Valentine's Day. Don't want to get them wives upset, John.
No, we can't have it. We can't have wives upset.
No, that's a fact.
It's awful cold right
Awful
now.
cold, exactly right. Okay, Dylan, if you want to come on in here and focus in on this fish mount, then I'm going to let John, while you're showing it, he can be telling the story of how this thing happened and what happened and all that kind of stuff, and there we go. John, tell us all about that. It's just awesome.
Yes, this is a beautiful mount that Mark Moores and Jack Spurl done for Randy, my partner. And the fish actually came out of the Powell River, and it was an 8-12 largemouth. And the stump that the fish is sitting on is actually come out of Big Creek near Indian River Marina. And, it was just a beautiful piece. the measurements measured up right. Mark is a great artist with this, and he does a great job. He's a great Christian guy, and we were just blown away when we seen it. We just couldn't believe what this mount looked like, and it's all one cedar piece. And when you're dealing with cedar, cedar is a one of a kind. Nothing else would look like that. So to see a piece like that is amazing, and it all to come off of North Lake, our home lake, is just great, and we appreciate Mark's work.
Buddy, no doubt, John. It's one piece. I mean, he didn't carve the fins out and that kind of thing, and glue them on or whatever. That's all one piece, folks, and that's what got my attention. The guy's just he's a craftsman.
Oh yeah, and
there's no doubt about it.
Everywhere we've taken that fish, in the last month, it's just knocked people's eyes out. They stop in the booth and look at it, and want to know the story behind it. And I'm so glad to have it in the booth and show off Mark's work, and Randy, my partner, being able to have an awesome mount like that is just unreal.
It sure is, man. When I saw it, I couldn't believe it, and it just blew me away. I don't have a clue how much time a man would have to spend on doing that.
No, I know what we spend on these baits, and to see something like that, it just blows your mind, and to know that it's all been handcrafted and done that way, and to look so real, and it looks just like it's came out of the lake. It's a nice wet finish, and a beautiful mount. So we're proud. We're proud of it. I know that.
I can see why, and I'm sure proud we got it over here and let the viewers look at that, and because it's awesome. It's one of you just don't see that everywhere.
No, you don't.
It's just dandy. All right. We appreciate you guys bringing that over, and congratulations to Randy and getting the fish and having it done and all that good stuff. Man, it's awesome. I'll tell you, it's something else. All righty, now let's talk about these baits, and what John's going to do is when he holds up one here, kind of give you a little color scheme, and then of why it's that color, because these are baits that he's tested and proven on North Lake, and I'll just tell you, the water's getting so clear up there, you're going to have to change things up.
Oh yeah, we've had, in the last 2 years, we've had a lot of color change on North, just with the zebra mussels being in the lake, and North is a clear lake anyway, but what's actually changed is the depth of that clarity and the visibility.
Yep.
Over 25 feet. You've heard divers say for a long time, once you get down so deep, you just can't see anything.
Yeah.
Now divers are seeing 25, 30 feet, around them. So it's changed the way light actually penetrates the water, and how colors, show up to a bass, or how a pattern shows up to a bass. So the way we kind of paint our baits, and that's what North Lake Baits is we custom paint baits for guys, and custom paint baits for the shows, and we paint baits on the way, either water temperature changes, or light conditions, or light penetration, and what colors show up. So blue, and blue reflects the most light at the deepest depth. Blue sapphire, it looks like diamonds under the water when you see it, and it could be in a reservoir, in a river, in the ocean. Blue sapphire shows up, it just looks like diamonds. It actually looks silvery underwater. So, that's one of the reasons why black and blue jig is actually, one of the fish catchingest jigs. It's the #1 jig color sold, black and blue, and you can mix it up with green pumpkins. So we paint colors that reflect the most light at the deepest depth and in off-colored water, and then patterns that are natural and clear-colored clear water, so like that we have on the North and Cherokee.
Right.
So, but like a lot of times, guys start cranking in the fall or in the winter, and we crank the big plugs in the summer, but most of your cranking is done, somewhere around October to March.
Right.
Until we kind of get into that, pre-spawn kind of thing. So on these lakes that we have, the water goes up and down quite a bit. North and Cherokee and Douglas, we see big fluctuations of either it drop or it raise, and what happens is it flushes those crawdads out of the bank. And you know, when crawdads are in a rock, they're green. They're green pumpkin, a solid green, or they'll be black, or there'll be some form of green and orange, green and brown. But actually, what happens is when that water actually comes up or lowers, those crawdads come out and they get on a move. They're no longer eating protein. They're no longer eating algae out of those rocks. Or they're not longer that. They become filter feeders. So when they start getting out and they start filtering the water and pulling in dissolved oxygen, and those crawfish need 2 milligrams per liter of dissolved oxygen to live, they start bringing in those nutrients when they're filtering that water. And actually what happens is that goes to the exoskeleton and it changes the colors. So that's where you see, you know, we'll throw like a black and red, or we'll throw the brown and orange, or you'll throw the brown and chartreuse. And you see those patterns change on those crawfish shells because they change towards conditions. You know, and in springtime when we have the first crawdad molt, and crawdads actually come out, and we call them soft shells. And what's actually happening is those crawfish are coming out. They're looking for dissolved oxygen. They're shelling that exoskeleton, and they turn a real tan-looking color, kind of your root beer colors, your natural watermelons and stuff like that. When we start seeing them in the lake, and they're laying there, and they're turning white, and they're turning orange and turning white, there's actually an iodine deficiency. So when you're studying crawfish, you have to look to see if the nutrients are there, whether it's calcium rich or calcium poor. Calcium poor, you're going to see crawfish that are lighter in color. On calcium high lakes, like what we have, you know, with a lot of alkalinity, we see a lot of the green pumpkins, the greens and chartreuses, natural environments, colors. So we paint a lot of baits for water temperature 55 degrees and less, which is basically when everybody's cranking.
Agreed, yeah. The fish are up there to get them.
That's right.
Crankbait.
That's when most of the fish move out, is, you know, on that water raising or on that water lowering. And the fish that are on the bank, that's what they're looking for. Your shad are not as close to the bank, they're actually deeper. And shad are changing colors too with water temperature. You know, your thread fins, your alewives, your gizzards, you'll see in water temperatures less than 50 degrees, you'll see the blue hue on them, or you'll see the pink, and they'll almost look trout colors. You can look at a trout and see that it has a pink, a fuchsia, it has a teal blue, or it has the nice brown back on it, the moss colors. And that's what happens in that colder water. It affects these, you know, prey. So it's study the prey, not the predator. You get the food source down, you're going to start catching bass.
Sounds like a good plan to me, John. It sure does. Tell us some about the color right here. I mean, that's real informative what you just gave us. And water temperature does control, like you said, the color of everything's up there pretty much.
Right.
You know, when it gets hot, I guess your watermelon's been one of our best colors up there this
Right.
year. We've just had an awesome summer up there, pretty much all summer long. Caught fish, and the watermelon was their best color.
Right. And a lot of guys remember this, that, you know, when Bill Dance and Rowan Martin had that color selector, and they would actually drop the probe over the side of the boat, and what it was reading actually pH and the photospectrometry of what light was actually penetrating the water. So the main color that would come up on that photo selector was green pumpkin. It's our natural color. So where the light would penetrate below it or above it, you would see green pumpkin and chartreuse. You'd see green pumpkin and orange, or you'd see pumpkin, or you'd see the watermelon colors. And, you know, in the more tannic water or more darker colored water, you would see the solid patterns. You'd see the black, the blue, your purple, your blue fleck, and you'd see that lower, darker color in the photo spectrum. So it makes sense. What we've tried to learn, you know, 20 years ago and 30 years ago in biology, we never thought we'd use it.
Right.
But here's where we make our fishing better.
So. I agree. That's a good deal.
But one of the colors that we paint, and it's our main color, we paint it on every bait, jerk baits, shad wraps, 2.5s, 1.5, every bait that we have come through the shop. This is our color that's called North Shad, and it has a nice ivy leaf-like green on the back. And we put, you know, some fire opal in the back, and it's white. White's always going to get you a bite. If you just look at that and just kind of keep that in your mind, something white will get you a bite.
Yeah.
But it works real good in the fall, and it works real good in the spring. Being that water temperature getting up over 55 degrees and getting closer to 60, the shad spawn's coming on.
Mm-hmm.
So our thread fins get that green hue to them,
right.
and they kind of stay, and the water's clear on Norse at both these times, so we like to stay with something real natural with white and the green on it, and this has been our color for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So we paint it on a lot of baits. One of the other new colors that we come out with is our brown and chartreuse and orange full, and the full baits are a little different. Now on sunny days, this is the baits that we like to throw, and we like to throw these baits shallow because it's giving you a lot of flash.
Mm-hmm.
And this bait right here is hot on Cherokee.
Yeah.
This bait is one of our top sellers on Cherokee, and we do paint an orange crawl with an orange top and brown and orange on the bottom. And right now, that flash with that natural color on it is just being fantastic on Cherokee.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of the things that we paint. We paint a lot of natural, like I said, natural crawfish colors. They'll have the browns, they'll have the grays, they'll have the greens, the oranges, the chartreuses in it, and a lot of lime.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at Douglas, you know, it's totally different than Norse. You'll throw more chartreuse baits or more lime baits or more blue and chartreuse baits at Douglas than you will on Norse or on Cherokee.
Yep.
But the lime stuff and the green has just been the old Horton style is what it is. And
yeah.
So.
Yeah, two colors of, actually 3 colors of green on that plug right there.
Right.
It's multicolored pretty much. A darker back, darker green back, the lighter green, and then the yellowish looking green on the bottom. So he's got some beautiful baits here, folks. I'm telling you, they do an excellent job on painting these plugs. And now, John, can you take a used plug or older plug that needs to be repainted and redo those? Or
yeah, that's what. And you know, at the fishing show this weekend, we had a ton of baits come in, and you know, guys bring us baits and they're like, just match the color. So we'll try to match it as close as we can, and get something back. And that's what we really want to be able to do is fix guys' baits. You know, we fix a lot of the old wiggleworts, you know, the older shad wraps, the bomber style stuff that you can't, the deep wears and stuff, and we really fade the finish out on them so it looks, you know, really authentic and nice. And we fix a lot of flat side baits too. You know, East Tennessee is the home of the flat side bait, and everybody's work is just outstanding. That's the thing, that, you know, being in East Tennessee and having that culture and, you know, pride on all these fishing baits is something that we're thankful to be a part of. And we paint a lot of baits that way. We paint the old school bomber style, your Bill Normans, you know, your deep wear stuff. So that's something that I think that's where we're different, you know, from some guys that set apart, that we're not so 3D. We're just kind of that old school crankbait. We're going to get on the bank. We're going to crank this thing and catch a fish.
Yeah. Cover ground, and the chances are better you're going to catch them than not.
Right.
You know, I understand your logic, and like you said, the crankbaits started, I think, in this area more than anywhere in the country back when the Big O was popular. Fred Young's Big O, and you know, it's just evolved, and then we had the guys started making the thin plugs, and it just, you know, man, I see. I can't think of everybody. Dave Jones used to make thin plugs.
Right.
Mike Estep, shucks, Sonny McFarland.
Guys right here in Oak Ridge, in this area.
Yes, sir. Just, you know, if you just could think for just a minute about all of them, there's probably at least 10 or 12 or a dozen more. Just right here within a 50-mile radius.
Yeah, David, and you mentioned David Jones. David was my dad's best friend, and you know, I looked at David as being kind of the KVD kind of our area. I mean, he painted baits. You know, he fished hard, and he didn't. I mean, he was tough to beat.
He's tough to beat.
And to be able to grow up around that and be in his shop and see him make baits
Yeah.
And paint baits and stuff that nobody got to see, and that was the thing, great fishermen that was there in La Follette, Jerry Hembry and the Praters and all those guys. Those baits were secretive. They painted their own stuff, and I got to be a part of that and be around all those great crankbait guys that painted baits and made baits, and Dad did too, and
yeah.
So I'm really fortunate in that aspect to be a part of that.
Yeah. Dwayne Hickson, a good plug maker. I've got several of his plugs. I mean, there's just bunches of them. Just can't think of all of them. But the bottom line is, this is where they paid off.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they've just been awesome over the years, and as far as I'm concerned, this area right here is the ones that started all that.
Oh yeah, it's just rich history.
Yeah.
And and it's pride.
That's
it
right.
is pride in what you do, and
yeah.
all these guys, me and Rob with the Jaw Jacker. I was in front of him at the East Tennessee Fishing Show, and he's a great guy, and he's got a lot of history and builds a beautiful bait. It's as good a bait as you'll buy, and his stuff is awesome. But we got a chance to see 2 original Big O's. A number 3 and a number 4, and if you go on his Facebook page, you can actually see those Big O's. And we're talking $5,000 and $6,000 baits a piece.
Yeah.
And my skin crawled. I was so excited, and Rob was too, and it was just awesome. And we just were so astonished to see that. That was the era that the crankbait just blew up. The handmade stuff, the custom stuff.
Yeah.
So
it was. Mike and I were fortunate with Bill and Dad and old Atomic Bass Club, and Fred being a member. Your status with Fred was how many egg cartons you had in your boat.
Right.
That was, Yeah. Right. If you had only 1 or 2.
Right.
you wasn't really up there. So
right.
When you had that dozen or 2 dozen
right.
of them, which one did I pick out? Because you only put 6 plugs to the egg carton.
Right.
And so that was the whole deal. If you had an egg carton full of Big O's, you was up there, man. Right. I'm telling you. And that was the big deal. And it just like you said, it was the start. Of what now is just unreal. I mean, go to a bait store and look at the different shapes, the different brands, the colors of all these crankbaits.
Oh yeah,
it is just unreal. I mean, the walls are just full of them, and some of them, you can't get all the colors on one wall.
No,
so. It's just it really is. It's a dynamic bait, and it's just blown everything else away. I mean,
And it has its place. I mean, there's a lot of other ways to fish, and it as well as I do. I mean, when we were fishing hard against each other, you were out there smallmouth fishing, and I'm cranking the bank, and you see kids now, and this younger generation. I'm saying. Quite a bit younger than me, if you told them that you couldn't go out there with a depth finder, they wouldn't even go fishing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And this last 5 or 6 years, you can actually catch a good bag of fish off the bank.
Exactly.
And because there's no pressure for them.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are idle, and it's been a great way to find big mega schools of fish. But when those fish get pounded and you're having a big tournament, you've got to have those little niches that help you and kind of get in on the bank. And it's hard to beat a crankbait on any East Tennessee lake all the way through the Tennessee River chain. And so I've always had this analogy, 6 hooks is better than 1.
Yeah.
I've got better shot. But
yeah. That's exactly right. And you're right. John, there's been days that myself, I just say, hey, I want, and a shad wrap's always been one of my favorite plugs. I'll never forget. I was up there at Norris one day, and we fished several different varieties of plugs, and this, that, and the other. Water was about 45 degrees, and throw the shad, or got my shad wrap out and started throwing it, and hadn't made but a few casts, and bam, caught one right at the boat. And I said, "Dadgum, that's the coldest water I've ever had a crankbait bite in." And stayed with it the next 2 or 3 hours on the lake, and wound up with a pretty good little bag of fish.
And and that's the thing. You mentioned the shad wrap, and you look in any real good crank guy's boat or their tackle box, if you're fortunate enough to get to do that. The shad wrap is one of their main tools.
Yeah.
And it's a great bait under 50 degrees, cold water or warming water bait, because it has that tight wiggle.
Yep.
It sets well. You can jerk it, like a jerk bait, and just slow crank it. It's the only. I mean, that's the only thing you have to do with it. And Rapala made great colors in it.
Yeah.
If you had the shad, the black and silver, or you had the brown crawfish with the orange on it, you were catching fish. And
right.
That bait has just been awesome. So we paint a lot of shad wraps, and we paint colors, that imitate shad, and we paint the crawfish colors on the shad wrap, and it's just a hard cold water to beat.
Yep.
Bait to beat.
I hear you. It's been a fish catcher for a long time.
Well, it was one of the only baits that we had. When you kind of got all these guys now have, these high dollar baits. When I was growing up, if you had a Bill Norman, you had a piece of gold. I mean, it just Bill Norman had just started kind of getting big, and we didn't know what a bandit was. If you had a deep wheel or 6A, 7A bombers.
Right.
And, they painted their paint job was just plain.
Right.
But they were fish catching machines. They didn't need all the 3D imagery and all that on there, and the scales and the hues, and they caught hundreds of fish. And so that's kind of the style stuff we paint. I do paint a lot of old style baits like that, and it's nice to see it evolve.
Yeah, oh yeah. The old bomber, the 5A, 6A, and the Tennessee shad was. You always had one in your box. That was another good plug back in the day, and it still is. They'll still catch fish, and it's just unreal of the variety and the color selection you've got this day and time.
Right, and that's what I really like about the 2.5 and the 1.5. And now you're seeing Strike King make bigger baits, and they're kind of mimicking off that old big old style.
Yeah.
And it's a fish catcher in cold water, it's a fish catcher in warm water, and you've got schooling fish, you can still catch it. So, it's neat. They always go back to that original thing, and so it's evolved, and I've been fortunate to be a part of it and see it growing up, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
I hear we grew up in the time or have grown up in the time of when fishing was just really, I mean, it's just evolved. The electronics has came so far, the boats, the trolling motors, the baits, the reels, the rods, everything is just it's exploded, man.
And in our area, everybody's good.
Yeah.
I mean, there is not a fisherman that shows up on Norris, Cherokee, Douglas, Watts Bar, Tellico, Loudon that at any point cannot just bust you.
Yeah.
And you have to fish hard. And all these guys, Strader and all the pro guys will tell you, right here is the hardest place to win.
Yeah.
And back 10, 15, 20 years ago when we first started, you fish against you guys, you had to fish really, really hard, and you had to learn what was going on, and I see how hard I had to work and how hard I had to fish to catch fish and to be able to compete, and how hard it was, to win here. So when I kind of started studying all this and putting it in perspective, and and it even helped my worm fishing and my jig fishing and night fishing, which up here is out. I mean, it's out of this world on the night bite, and so it just moved my tournament fishing to a different level, and and now you just have to have every little edge that you can.
Yeah, I agree. There's no question about it. And that color of the plug, it's amazing. we found, and Mike, we brought this to the show back in the summer. He took a magic marker or a Sharpie I had in my box and painted the back of his watermelon chunk with it, and he hadn't had a bite in I don't know, an hour or two, wasn't it, Mike? Yeah. And he just said, "Where's your Sharpie at?" And I said, "It's right there in the box." And he gets down and just blacks the back of that dang watermelon chunk. But it wasn't no time flat. He was catching fish, and he had lost that chunk and had to get another one and painted it. And that little subtle change on that, darkening that bait up made the difference.
Well, actually, a bass's eye is a lot different than ours. A bass's eye has rod cells. Mm-hmm. And rod cells, it would be like just taking a bowl or a circle and filling it full of jelly beans. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how a bass's eye is. So it has to have light penetrating the water to stimulate those rod cells for it to be able to see a pattern, mm-hmm. a color, or a shape. And, everybody likes that early morning topwater bite or that late evening big crush. That's when you get, at dawn you get that big bite. Yeah. Well, that's when a fish's eyes are actually adjusting, and he's having to use his lateral line. He's having to use other senses other than just sight.
Right.
But people say that a bass, doesn't like sunlight. Well, it's the largest fish in the predatory, sunfish family. So it does like sunlight. It's the only way it can see. But when that light gets up so high, it has to find some cover, and it uses it as an ambush point. When it has that little bit softer light, it actually sees a bigger pattern. So they know it's a bluegill, they know it's a shad, they know it's a crawfish, and they do see color. And the reason that I know fish see color is you take a strawberry worm and you put it out in front of your black light at night.
Yeah.
And it's on a dark night, and you say, "Man, that thing's glowing, and it really should look good, and I should be getting a bite." And you don't get a bite. But you go to a blackberry or you go to a June bug and you start getting bites.
Yeah.
So transparent colors and solid colors do matter to a bass.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that 100%. Listen, folks, we're going to take a little break. Something I did forget on our introduction was I wanted to welcome the folks on Channel 4 out of Oneida because that is fixing to happen. Talked to the gentleman this week, and we're going to make it happen. And so we're going to be, we're going to try to do the show live up there, like we're at the same time we're doing it here. And then that way those folks can call in and this kind of thing. So we're going to take a little break here and get a drink of water and come back to John and got a few other things I need to mention. So anyway, Dylan, you ready to take a break? All righty, buddy.
Foods. You may not know the name, but you definitely know the taste. Our homemade fudge is shipped all over the country. Its quality is unmatched, and it's made right here in Oliver Springs. But you don't have to travel all over to enjoy it. You can get it right here at our retail store, Pamela Ann's Fudge, Candy, and Gifts. The highest quality fudge in a countless variety of flavors. And we also carry a variety of candy and unique gifts for you to enjoy. Come enjoy the taste you have loved for years at Pamela Ann's Fudge, Candy, and Gifts in Oliver Springs, a division of Country Fresh Food.
Drownings are a leading cause of death for young children. Simple safety steps are the best way to prevent these tragedies. Make sure kids learn how to swim. Always watch them in and around water. Properly fence all pools and stay away from drains. Consider the steps you take, then add a few more. Because you never know which pool safety step will save a life until it does. Simple steps save lives. To learn some new ones, visit poolsafely.gov.
Rodney and Kay Harback invite everyone to come on over to Rome Street Grill to experience a pleasant dining experience with them. Rodney knows how important it is to get folks back to work after lunch, so they have a speedy lunch at Rome Street Grill. They will get you in and get you out. Every day they have a special at lunch or order off the menu. So go visit the fine folks at Rome Street Grill. Call them at 865-285-6025. That's Rome Street Grill, across from Jerry Duncan Ford in Harriman. Call them at 865-285-6025.
Hey folks, I just stepped in the door here at Shared Treasures and Consignments and more, and man, you know, if you're looking for some specialty items, this right here would be a good place to check out. So I'm just going to walk around here. Dishes, tables, clothing, I mean, antiques, and that kind of stuff. So just to give you a little idea of what they do have is everything. So you need to come by here, Tri-County Boulevard, and visit with these folks. Just walk through here and look around, and I guarantee you're going to find some things that you hadn't seen or you've been missing for quite a while and like to replace and that kind of thing. So come by here and visit with these folks at Shared Treasures right here across from Ace Hardware on Tri-County Boulevard going into Oliver Springs there, and I really do believe you'll find some of those old items that you have misplaced or broken or whatever, and just check this out, because they have got a lot of stuff in here, and you know, a lot of old stuff and new stuff all together. So get by here and check them out, and want to thank them for being a sponsor on the show. All right, folks, I'm here at the soon to be, don't know how soon, but toward the gym. This is going to be the new home for Edgemore Outdoors, and man, looks great. They got quite a bit of work to do yet, but looks like Jim and Jeannie picked out a good place, a good design. It's a huge building, so can't wait for them to get set up here and all that kind of stuff. So just wanted to let everybody know, you know, the date for moving in is not been set yet. So, yeah, and talking with Jim, he says, man, I just don't know when. So, but anyway, they got to start on it, and be glad to see them get in the new building here. Hey folks, I'm here at Tim's Tires, and I want, you know, just looking, there's all kinds of tires behind me, but this right here is kind of more for the vehicles. So, you know, as you can see, they've got every size shape that you're looking for, and don't get caught with bad weather. Come on by down here at Tim's Tires and let them make you a deal on a set of tires there. Because they do have them. If they don't have, they will get them for you. And you truckers know that, you know, they've got the truck tires too. So Tim's Tires right here coming into Harriman. Make sure you check them out there if you need that set of tires.
All right, we're back to us, and John, I'm going to take another 5 minutes here and run through some stuff I got to mention here for some people and the sponsors and this kind of thing. Reynolds Racing Marine has extended their show special all the way to the end of this month. And that's on the boats, the engines, accessories, side-by-sides. And all you got to do is call or visit with them or go to their website and look at, you know, what's available. But they'd love to see you down there at the business. They just wanted me to pass that along. You know, right now, take advantage of these special deals, special prices they got going on. Edgemore Outdoors. Got Jim there at Edgemore Outdoors. Like I told you last week, he's been selected, or is the area's Livingston lure dealer, and Jim's going to be at the BASS Elite Series, which is going to be, the tournament's going to be held on Cherokee the 9th through the 12th. Well, Jim's going to have a booth set up at the convention center on Saturday and Sunday. And, all he's saying is stop by, say hello at the Edgemore Outdoors booth over there at the Knoxville Convention Center there on Saturday and Sunday. And we want to thank Jim. To me, it's a pretty good honor to be picked to do that. And and they couldn't pick the better person to represent the Livingston lure dealers in this area. Congratulations again, Jim, and do stop by and see him if you're over there at the tournament weigh-in, which will be held there at the Convention Center on Saturday and Sunday. Give Jim a shout, say hello. He'd love to see you. Rockwood Iron and Metals, they're pouring concrete, getting things set up. We're expecting things to happen there just any time. So do bear with us on that. Thank Gary for getting things rolling and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. We done talked about the strawberries and the Valentine's gifts and that kind of thing. So looks like, John, we're back to you. I do have some pictures of some fish that was caught out on Dale Hollow this past week. Bill and Max caught those fish. And Dylan, you want to pull those pictures up? All righty. Yeah. There's one. Yeah, there's, I believe that's Max there. Got some nice fish. There's old Brother Bill right there, Mike. Yeah. Boy, that's a nice smallmouth right there. Look how them things are blowed up, John.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's a nice cold weather fish right there.
You ain't kidding. They, look there what one. That's a dandy right there. And Bill told me they had some dandy fish. I mean, some nice ones. They just shaped different out there, John.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're just shaped different. Don't ask me why or how come, but they're, and there's a big old largemouth right there. And there's some dandy largemouth in that lake right now, too.
Yes, sir.
Sure are. There we are back to that. There's your mount.
Yeah, there's another picture of
Mark's
work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Okay, John, good deal. You want to put that flyer up of the hunter education course? We've got the Hunters Educational class going on field day, February the 20th. Can you put that up, Dylan? All right, man. Get that done for Mr. Brad Doherty, TW. There you go, folks. The Hunter Education class. I'm going to leave that up there for a few seconds, about 30 seconds or so that you can write down and get all those www infos there about getting into that Hunter's Education class. So, got a thing going here. Let's see. Hello, caller.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, Ed, how you doing, buddy?
That's pretty good. How y'all doing?
Hey,
I got a question for you and your friend there. The SR5s, the trap wrap, I call them SR5s, the 7s. Which size would you guys recommend pulling, the 5 and 7 or the 9? I go up 4 or 5 of them.
Well, around the shad spawn, the number 5's hard to beat. And the further east you go, I'm not sure what lake that you're on, but your south hosting guys, Boone, Watauga, that area there, the number 5 is hard to beat. On Norse, it's number 5 and number 7. The later in the year, after the shad spawn, we like to throw the number 9, the bigger shad wrap.
Okay, good. And listen, talk about those original Big O's.
yes, sir.
I've got one in the showcase.
Keep it.
One that Fred Young gave my daddy.
Yeah, I have one too, and yeah, he was a member of the Bass Club, and he made everybody a plug, and
okay.
Yeah, that got one. Other than Mike, he was in the club too, But Fred got sick, and Mike didn't get his. But because he asked Mike what color he wanted there at the meeting one night, and I was fortunate I got mine. But Mike didn't get his.
Are they worth $5,000-$6,000?
I don't know that, Ed. I don't know that.
That one of them each thing was worth $6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, these pieces were unreal. I mean, they were number 3 and number 4. You can look at them on the website, and they were the big O's. These were twice the size of the original Big O that Fred had actually cut out for somebody else, and they were unreal condition. I mean, these were so nice, and this guy here that came in to the fishing show and what we got to see on them, they were, I mean, he was shaking. I mean, I was shaking when I seen them. So they're beautiful baits, and you know, if you're real fortunate if you still have one in a good condition.
Well, mine's always been in this box, and it's got a glass top on it.
Yeah.
Wooden box.
I've got 2 or 3 of them at home, Ed.
They're not the high dollar ones, then, huh?
Well, he's talking about a bigger size plug. I don't even need to know about mine because I'm keeping them. I'm passing them on to my kids, and grandkids, and one of these days somebody will remember them.
I know. If I had big O's like that, there would be no price tag on them. I just couldn't. No, I just wouldn't want to part with it.
Yeah, exactly right. They're just not for sale. I mean, that's the way I'd be with it, because it's just a piece of history, buddy. It's all you can make out of it.
Okay. But I've enjoyed the show. I'll let you get back to it.
All right, Ed. Thank you for calling, buddy.
All right, bye.
See you, bud. Okay. Couple of other little things while we're talking right here. Oh shucks, the sign shop and the bank. I've got to mention those folks, and getting on Channel 4 will help put the show out there at Oneida. There's a branch of Citizens First Bank in Oneida. I've got those people on hot standby. Can't wait to get to see the show, and so we hope that'll take place hopefully next week. We're working on it right now and getting that done, and to involve those people out in that part of the woods, Oneida, Sunbright, and Huntsville, and all that. And they do a lot of fishing on North, some people do. So we'll have this show to tape to send to them, and maybe they'll get to watch it also. But we got a lot of that going on. Talked with Amy at the sign shop the other day, and she's got some signs that they had taken down and people upgraded and that kind of thing. She got those for sale. So we'll try to, if you've got interested in a sign, give them a call down there and ask her about those huge signs. She's got one I think is about 16 foot long, and another one that's 10 or 12 foot long. I mean, they're just huge signs, but they look like new. So give her a shout at the sign shop. I hate to say this, but I will. We're losing one of our sponsors, Roan Street Grill. Will no longer be a sponsor of the show. I appreciate them being a sponsor in the past, and it's all about business. And I hate to lose them, but we're going to lose those folks there at the Roan Street Grill. But do remember, they do have good, best food around. Just stop in. I appreciate them being a sponsor for as long as they have been. I hate to lose them, but business is business, and we do understand that. So we'll move right along. John, we got several tournaments coming up here. The tournament season started now. Oh yeah. It kind of tweaked through the winter. One here, one there. You had usually Norris is probably the most hardest hit in the wintertime.
Oh yeah.
There's several different tournaments going on up there, just kind of every other Saturday and that kind of deal. But it's fixing to get full blast.
Oh yeah, and Cherokee too, and Douglas. I mean, we just 7 lakes in this area that you can be on within an hour.
Yeah.
2 hours for us. You're at Chickamauga, the Bass Factory right now, Tennessee, and it's amazing that we're getting the bigger organizations to come to Douglas and Cherokee and Norris, and we had the FLW tournament, on Norris, and it humbled me because it was a great experience, and I didn't have the best tournament that I could have, and we had a warm fall, we've had a warm winter, we've not seen water temperatures get cool on here or on Norris or on Cherokee, and
right.
So it's been different, and it's made fishing a little bit tougher. So I think the spring fishing is just going to be fantastic, and going into pre-spawn on Cherokee and on Norris, and with it being this warm. So
I agree, and to me, the fishing really don't get good, my kind of fishing, up there till it gets down in about 45 degrees.
Right.
That's when it seems to be the way I want to catch them,
Right.
And sometimes that don't, the way I want to catch them, a lot of times don't work. It's the way they want to be caught.
Right.
But yeah, in the 46 and below, that's the way I like to get them in the winter. But now, like we said, the water, it hadn't got that cold to put it, the water temperature, and it, one cold night won't do it.
No.
It takes several.
The coolest water we've seen on Norris has been 46, 47.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's only that for 2 days, and it's back up to 56,
yeah.
Your smallmouth are going to be grouped up within smaller pods, and I think it's made those smallmouth, instead of them being 25, 30, they're 45, 50.
Yeah.
And it just didn't pull them up. You don't have the shad kill. That's the thing, big thing on Cherokee. On the lower end, you see that cold water, and you're chopping shad up with a trolling motor. You're chopping shad up with a big motor, and smallmouth are just gorging.
Right.
And instead of them being 3 pounds, they're almost 4 pounds. So you just didn't see that this year. But
Yep.
I think the spring fishing is going to be fantastic.
Real good. I kind of agree with you. The other week on Watts Bar, I went down for a few hours, and I just was actually throwing a jerk bait, and just watching the bank and saw the minnows run, and I thought, nothing does that but a bass.
Right.
So I put the jerk bait up and got the chatter bait out and run in there till the trolling motor hit the bottom and look out. 54-degree water, and they was just slashing through them minnows like crazy, and I caught 3 or 4, had a couple of, one nice 2.5 pounder, 3 pounder, and then one about 4 and 4.5, and another good keeper, and just in just a few minutes. But they just sat there and watched, and they were just gorging themselves.
Right.
There's a lot of fish in that area that I was at. So yeah, it's all about the water temp, John. It sure is, and I'm like you. I think we're going to look for a big spring, really.
When you have that warm of water temperature, especially in the winter months, and our winter months in Tennessee is, late December, January, February, and it's not uncommon to see snow at Easter.
Right.
So when that water temperature's hanging 50, 55, what's going to happen is you're fishing like you would in the fall.
Yeah.
All winter, and the fish kind of pattern the same way. In your mind, you're saying, I need to fish deep, I need to stay in the creek, and look for smallmouth just stacked, and it's not been that way.
That's right, exactly right.
So, pretty nice.
Yeah, let me get this call here. Hello.
It's PED.
Go ahead, bud. You got a question for our guest here?
No, I was going to say, this time of the year there are different kinds of types of fishing.
Agreed.
He may be zoned into largemouth, smallmouth, but there are other fish, like sauger.
Agreed.
Or
Yeah, they'll buy the plug too, won't they?
So, you know, it's whatever you're into fishing to, or trout.
You catch many trout on the crankbait there, lamprey? Do you catch a lot of trout on the crankbait?
Well, let's put it this way: you know how largemouth like to hit a topwater bar or belt or a topwater bait.
Yeah. Right. So that. In other words, these crankbaits are going to work for different species other than bass. That's what you're trying to say, ain't it?
Well, they do the same thing. Trout will hit a topwater bait.
Right.
And or a streamer.
Okay.
So they're a fish that will hit anything a largemouth or whatever will hit.
Right. I got you.
I mean, fish are fish. They do the same things.
Yeah, I agree with you. When there's food around, they're gonna get it.
Yeah, I mean, you throw a daggone minnow on top of something, it's gonna hit it.
Yeah, I agree with you, bud. Well, listen, we got another caller coming in. Appreciate you hollering at us.
Okay.
All right, see you, man. Okay, Dylan, where'd that other call go? Did they hang up? Yeah, I think so. Okie dokie. I couldn't, it's all right, man. They're called back. Hey, folks, we're about out of time. Good to hear from the callers. Remember the things we've talked about. John, appreciate you coming down, and you informed us a lot. Sure did.
That's what we're going to try to do.
Yeah, let me see who this is. Hello. Hello, caller. Hey, Tony, what's up?
I was going to ask you, did Mike done get fishing this week?
Mike, he ain't been. He's not been. Did you ain't been fishing? No, he's been working.
Did he go last Saturday?
Did you go last Saturday? Yeah, he caught some crappie last Saturday, but what'd you do? Right quick, you got 30 seconds.
We caught 9 keepers, but we had fish in the wind all day long. That's all we got, 8 hours.
Yeah, that's what Mike caught, Tony, was 9 keepers. He got them on film, we just didn't show it tonight because of having John over.
It's okay. Well, I sent you some pictures. I'll talk to you next week. You're going to get some out there.
Well, appreciate it, man. Yeah, we think we've done good. Sure do. Let's get on them this week. Weather's going to get bad. We ain't got nothing to do but fish.
That's right. See you.
See you, buddy. All right, folks, we're down to 1 minute. John, thanks for coming over.
Thank you, Steve, for inviting me.
Okay. Well, wait, something we better do. Listen, folks, John's phone number is 423-494-1782. 1782. And that's North Lake Baits. And, if you need your plugs touched up, something, special, get them and get a hold of John at that number. Hey, listen, we want to thank you all for being tuned in tonight, and God bless you, and we hope to see you next week. And by the way, it's our anniversary, Mike. We started our 5th year tonight. All righty. See y'all next week.
Thank you.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Country Fresh Foods. You may not know the name, but you definitely know the taste. Our homemade fudge is shipped all over the country. Its quality is unmatched, and it's made right here in Oliver Springs. But you don't have to travel all over to enjoy it. You can get it right here at our retail store, Pamela Ann's Fudge, Candy, and Gifts. The highest quality fudge in a countless variety of flavors. And we also carry a variety of candy and unique gifts for you to enjoy. Come enjoy the taste you have loved for years at Pamela Ann's Fudge, Candy, and Gifts in Oliver Springs, a division of Country Fresh Foods.
Rodney and Kay Harback invite everyone to come on over to Rome Street Grill to experience a pleasant dining experience with them. Rodney knows how important it is to get folks back to